Hello and welcome along to the Project Cars 2 Virtual Racing League, where today you join us for round 2 at the second circuit of this fantastic GT3 championship that we are running. 5 minutes qualifying followed by two 20-minute races, 10 points for the winner, and we are at the famous Barcelona Catalunya circuit today. Lots of long sweeping bends for the drivers to negotiate. Current championship standings after the first round out at Donington is scuderiasam leads the way by 4 points over Alex CDL. Those are the two winners from round 1. Then it quickly follows Sabrosa, Chris Doherty, Luke McGee, Stalker Brown, Roger the Dodger, Free Gazelle, Twingotastic and Makevs there, who only did the second race at round 1, so he's got a bit of catching up to do. On pole position today at Circuit Catalunya is Roger the Dodger, the Englishman, claims pole position in the orange McLaren ahead of Chris Doherty, the Irishman, in the Renault, followed by scuderiasam, the Welshman, in the Lambo, then Alex CDL in the Ginetta, Stalker Brown in the Audi. Free Gazelle is in the Aston Martin, and Makevs in another Lamborghini. We're missing a couple of drivers from this one, but it should hopefully be no short of action here at this fantastic circuit. 5 lights go out and they're away. It's a very long run here to turn 1 at Barcelona. It looks like Chris Doherty there has gone absolutely fantastic start in that fast start in Renault. And then on the inside we've got Roger the Dodger covering the inside line there. From behind is Stalker Brown. And then we've got Roger and scuderiasam getting very close there through turns 1 and 2. As now they head round turn 3, the very long right-hander. And that's Makevs round by the looks of it in the yellow Lamborghini. He's facing the barrier, he's found reverse, he's getting going again now. Yellow flags temporarily. And now back with the leaders, back with the leading pack is Chris Doherty, still leading the way ahead of Roger, who went out over scuderiasam there, and Alex CDL and Stalker Brown are still negotiating who's going to claim 4th or 5th on this lap 1 opener here. Roger the Dodger now attacking the defending Irishman of Chris Doherty, so the top 3 very close together as they head through the middle part of this lap now. Very twisty sections coming up, and then the back straights, which could provide an excellent chance for overtaking, and one of the best overtaking points on this track coming up shortly. But the drivers have to make sure they get a good slingshot through this tricky little right-hander onto this long straight. Roger the Dodger and scuderiasam flashing to try and distract the two in front of him. Chris brakes quite early there. A little bit of contact going on between the McLaren and the Lamborghini just behind. Chris Doherty gets through it okay, and still side by side. Slight contact still. Very lucky they both got away with that one though. Roger and scuderiasam know each other very well in this league. They often find each other battling over the same piece of tarmac, and they're both karters as well in real life. So they know the racing lines, but it looks like Roger's absolutely got the pace here in that McLaren to challenge the leader Chris Doherty. But on lap 1 here, it promises to be a very exciting race because we've got a lot of drivers who are on similar sort of pace. The top 5 there, as you can see in the screen, all separated by barely anything at all as they come over the start-finish line to complete lap 1. And joining me in the commentary box today is Ian and Mac. And what do you guys make of the start there?
Well, it's a terrific start from Chris, who's one of the ones that was very unfortunate at Donington, and Roger as well was had a day to forget really with not finishing race 2. So these two will be keen to really get going. You can see that early on, just the motivation they've got to kind of get ahead and get some points on. The problem we've got is kind of each other at the moment. They're both highly motivated, but they're both right on it and right on the pace. So it's makes for a very interesting battle early on, but they want to get going. And after having Sam was close to Dodger in the first towards the end of the first lap, but they've made a bit of a break now, and they'll be keen to make the most of it with Sam looming in the background. That's Roger going down the inside trying to get the lead, but Chris is just covering him off just enough here, but it's side by side going down. This who breaks first, and I think Chris just with the inside lines just got enough. But he's gone a bit there, but he's managed to recover it and maintain it. But that's brought Sam right back into the mix as well, and it's Roger down the inside that's coming out. It looks like he's got the job done this time. He was unlucky with that last attack, but that's done the job now, and he looks to maintain it onto the and Chris is decided to go for an early pit stop, having good pace early on, just hopefully coming out in a gap there as we look at this is really tighten the field up with Roger, Sam and Alex all very tight, and as you say, it's top 5 really is covered as we look back at Makevs recovering after that unfortunate start, and he's kind of trying to catch up Freaks at the back as you look at the frantic action at the start. There's Sam down there having a look, but not quite there today. But it's certainly been a quite close pass at the start, Mac, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, with McEvans having technical issues in qualifying, he managed to get a lap in due to getting his brake settings set up. So, and then that slight contact with scuderiasam, putting him in last place. Now he's really going to drive the wheels off the car now to try and get back up in the pack, try and have a decent position at the end of the race. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a close one with this track. Seeming it's all tight and technical now, and there's not many big straights to catch up to anyone with, and the Lambos are going to start to struggle a bit, I think, because of how tight and technical the corners are. These Lambos don't really like going around slow corners. As you can see, McEvans is just about trying to keep up with Free Gazelle now. Lambo has got a bit more legs on the corner exits, but does struggle when he gets down to the low speeds. The front end just starts to push now and again on them. But let's just see how the race progresses now. As you can see, McEvans is has snapped it. Ah, okay. I think there was another technical issue. He might have bumped the ESP button off. These Lambos do not like you turning that button off. They will try to spit you out.
Yeah, definitely. I think they definitely try and kill their drivers in some situations. But it's an interesting point you raised there, Mac, about the slow corner issues that the Lamborghini does face. And I think that's where the McLaren and certainly the Ginetta then, behind with the hands of Alex CDL, is going to come into play against scuderiasam in his battle, in their battle for the top three here, along with Chris. We'll have to wait and see where he feeds back out into all of it, but also with McKev's battle with the likes of Stalker Brown and Free Gazelle. At this circuit, the last sector is all slow corners, so expect the Lamborghini to be severely under threat there, but I think it's pretty decent at the higher speed sections, so sort of sector 1 and through some of the corners in sector 2, we should be able to see that Lambo come back into its own. So yeah, it's not all a lost cause for those Lambo drivers. It's got its pros and cons, but that's what makes exciting racing too, when you've got these cars and these drivers with different strengths and weaknesses, and yeah, it makes for good racing. And that's, talking of good racing, at the front here, all separated by 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds still, really going for it. I think they're all kind of sizing each other up at the moment and just playing into the race. They know that Chris Doherty has made a pit stop already, so they'll all be thinking about whether or not to use their pit stop as well in this race. Don't forget there's 2 races here, 2 20-minute races, and the drivers can choose which race they want to make their pit stop on. And then of course if they make it in race 1, they don't have to use it in race 2. So Chris there will be thinking of the long game, and he's coming up behind now McEv's in the Lambo, so we'll see how this Renault gets on. That Renault's a very good handling car, doesn't have the legs on the straight. Although Chris here, he's looking down the inside, and McEv's brakes very late here in defence, and he's right off the track now, but that just hands an easy overtake there to Chris Doherty. But McEv's probably realising that it's not really his battle today, it's with other drivers. Look at the lead, look at the fight for the lead now though. scuderiasam right over the back of under the rear wing there of the McLaren of Roger the Dodger. So these two now once again engage in battle with scuderiasam's lights on there. I don't know whether that will make him go faster or not, probably not, but if anything it's probably running the battery down. But I think there's probably enough horsepower in these cars to get around that issue. But yeah, Roger the Dodger definitely has to watch his wing mirrors here, because yeah, looks like scuderiasam looks quite racy at this stage of the race, and Alex DL just hanging back like a shark, isn't he? He's just waiting for something to happen between these two before pouncing and taking the lead away if he can. Because it's probably not the strongest circuit for the Ginetta, but he's certainly hanging in there. And it's fascinating to see how this all plays out. And I'm pretty sure some of these drivers towards the end are going to think about making a pit stop in this race, because so far I believe it's only been who's it been? And possibly Free Gazelle as well. Oh, fight now going on for the lead. Roger Dodger covering the inside very late there. Oh, a little bit squirmy coming out as well. And scuderiasam's got the racing line and got the lead now away from Roger the Dodger. But this is the section where the McLaren is stronger than the Lamborghini, and he's all over the back now. Roger the Dodger looking down the inside, is he? scuderiasam's struggling a little bit with the Lambo through there. Yes, and Roger the Dodger back through in the McLaren. Absolutely fantastic racing going on between these two. And now scuderiasam might get the slipstream coming down the straight, and Alex DL's closing in as well. So it's all heating up here as we approach halfway through this first race.
Sure is. It's been an epic battle so far from these two at the front, and as you say, there's Alex Edel just lurking in the background, just seeing Roger try not to give a toe on the main straight here as Sam closes in again. But as you say, there's that raw power, but then through the corners, the McLaren should just show its handling prowess as Sam kind of puts it out on the side, trying to maximise that power coming up behind Roger here. But it's quite a fine battle between two quite well matched drivers in this championship, and also kind of the different car strengths. So that'll be interesting as that plays out, and interesting to see how with the early pit stop from Chris, how that plays into it. If any others start to look for their pit stops, or if they save that for the next race. So here's Sam down the inside, just reminding Roger he's here, but yep, reminding Roger he's there, but yeah, definitely. Just get a bit. They both there. That's quite a bit of contact, and as you say, Matt Robbins racing.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely getting close now, especially now everyone's starting to get settled into their cars now. So, and some drivers may be finding that the cars are suiting their driving style quite a bit. Alex and Roger are quite technical drivers and fast drivers, so stuff like the McLaren and the Ginettas are quite well suited to experienced drivers. The Lamborghinis, they're kind of an entry-level one. I know McEvs, when he first started competing in GT3 sim racing, the Lamborghini that you see today was the first one he competed in. So he's had it for a couple of years, learning its tips and tricks on controller and now going onto the wheel. As you can see, he's driving the wheels off the Lamborghini at the moment, trying to get away from Chris, because Chris, he knows he's a faster driver than him, but he's just going to try and make a good race of it, see how much he can stay out ahead, and also try not to lose any time on some of the corners, because Chris is faster. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the drivers settle into these cars now throughout the season. As you can see, the pace is a lot faster than last week, as everyone's starting to get used to starting to work out their quirks and unique characteristics for each track. Obviously, as you can see, the more exotic cars are better suited for this, like the Ginettas and McLarens seeming to handle the tighter bends more nicely than, say, like the Lamborghinis as well. They are prone to a bit of understeer if you do push them into the corners the wrong way, but McEvs is doing a pretty good job of trying to keep out in front of Chris at the moment. Chris practically polishing his back bumper at the moment, waiting for any little gap to get through. But yeah, we'll see how this battle will play out.
Certainly will. Both these drivers have been in the wars a little bit in this race, as the cameraman can't even keep up with the action. But it looks like McEvs there has just ceded that position now to Chris Doherty. So in that particular battle, Chris is winning out this lap, but that could all change by the following one, especially as we know that Lambo's a pretty bit of a menace, isn't it, on the straight? And talking of menace, it's Roger Latoja now back with the lead battle, being a complete menace as much as he can be to the Lamborghini of scuderiasam. It seems to be whoever gets ahead here just can't break away, and then the other one is all over the back. And a bit of a slide there from the Lamborghini, just about held it from scuderiasam there. Now Roger Latoja almost giving him a helping hand out the corner, as if to say, come on then, get on it. But look, now they're coming up against the back mark of Free Gazelle here in the Aston Martin. He's been struggling with this Aston Martin for pace all season long so far. Well, all season long, it's only been a few races, but he's not getting on with it very well, and all the drivers have pretty much agreed that Aston's not the best car, but Free Gazelle's persevering with it. But now he's going to be getting right in the thick of the action as we have blue flags waving for the leaders now as they come through. Free Gazelle gets well out of the way there. Very, very good clean racing there by Free Gazelle, and to get out of the way, he knows it's not his battle today. but it looks like he's made his pit stop, so hopefully in race 2 he can really get stuck in and get some good points and get further up the field. And the Lamborghini's squirming away, is really not enjoying this sector 3, and this is going to give Roger an absolutely fantastic chance to get past now if he gets a clean exit through these corners. It looks like Alex CDL's pitting in the background. Yes, he is. He's coming into the pits in that Ginetta, and slowly into the pits. A very long pit lane here in Barcelona, so it'll feel like an absolute lifetime for him going down there. He might as well stop for a cup of tea while he's at it. But yeah, I think he'll feed in. Well, it'll be interesting to see actually, because Chris has been in the wars a bit as well, battling away with Makev's there for 4th and 5th. So he probably will come out ahead of Chris, but we'll have to wait and see there how that pans out. Meanwhile, Roger Dodger's still chasing hard now after scuderiasam. And let's not forget too that at this stage of the race now, with only 5-8 minutes to go, whatever it is, these tyres will be absolutely screaming on this track, because there's a lot of fast right-handers here, putting a lot of pressure on those outside tyres. So I think a lot of the drivers will be starting to be a bit nervous of the colour of their tyres and how much wear there is going on.
Yeah, definitely. You see, there's a lot of pressure on the outside of these tyres in some of these corners, and just the fast pace and the high speeds. It's and then of course the battling that seems to be going on all race long between Sam and Roger here. Now that Alex has bowed out, it's really is a fight to the finish between these two, with Alex and Chris deciding to save their battle for race 2. But all means it's all or nothing really between these two, and they've really been going at it. So their tyres will be starting to cry towards the end of this, with the battling going on, and there really is nothing to separate them. As we look at them, there's Roger down the inside again. Sam going a bit wide, so that's giving Roger the initiative, but neither of them can seem to just break away once they get in front. It just seems to be the next. It just seems to kind of give a boost to the other one, and then they're back on it as we come again. There's Sam. He's got the lights on, saying he's coming, but yeah, Roger will be well aware of that by now. And as you look at them coming down, it's Roger's got the initiative just now, but Sam closes right in, and as through the corners, Roger's getting away a wee bit, and then but then the power of that Lambo always seems to pull Sam back into it, and it gets very tight into the second half of this lap. So yeah, still very much all to play for, but we're coming into the sort of closing minutes of this race, and there's not much between these two at the moment. So look at Sam trying to get the power of that Lamborghini, closing up again a wee bit, and getting in try to get in the slipstream. But Roger's proved already he's aware of that, and try not to give too much away as they come towards the second half here, and just Sam get a bit of a run. He's carrying as much speed as he can. He's in the draft now, but Roger will be aware of that as he just closes up nicely, but just can't quite get close enough, and he's out on the using every section of track trying to carry as much speed as he can. But yes, Roger's still just got the initiative here, but it's and through the sort of technical bit is where there's been a bit of switch back, but Roger seems to have a bit of a gap now, so it'll be interesting to see whether he can hold it or whether Sam can drag it back in and have another attack.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be fighting on the fine line of trying to push hard to stay out in front, but also trying to keep the tyre wear in mind, because obviously with Project Car's physics system, you have to keep these tyres in a precise window, and that window is very small. So you could fall off either end and the car will suddenly become uncontrollable or very twitchy on braking. The Lambos, I know for a fact from driving personally that sometimes when the tyres get a little too hot, they start getting twitchy in corners. So the drivers are definitely going to be keeping that in mind, especially with Alex now trying to catch up to Sam and Roger, seeing if he can try and catch him up by the end of the race. It is 4.5 minutes left, so it could be a possibility, but we'll have to see. Alex is about a 38 second deficit, so we'll have to see what he can pull out of the bag. But as you can see, Sam and Roger are on each other constant now. this track is the type of track where it's a 50-50 mix between the McLaren and the Lambo. The Lambo is sector 1 and 2. The Lambo's pretty much got it, but the McLaren can keep up with it. Obviously, the Lambo will then start to struggle as you get into the end of sector 2 into sector 3. As you can see, the torque of the V10 in the Huracan can keep up with the McLaren on the corner exit because of just sheer grunt it has the corner exit. As you can see, he's practically on his bumper now on it, but then just as you get onto the straight now, McLaren's going to start stretching his legs, and the Lambo's just getting a toe on it now, funny enough. So normally the McLarens will pull away, but Sam's going in for the overtake. Oh, and he's got it. Oh, that's a nice move there.
Roger, yeah, just out the last lap now. These two drivers who have just been 1 second away from each other in the whole race, either or, for one or the other, 1 second in it. And on the last lap, scuderiasam makes a move there into turn 1. Roger the Dodger just about was trying to cover it off, but it left a Lambo-sized hole that scuderiasam decided to slither through. However, it's not over yet. Roger's fighting back now. The Englishman versus the Welshman here on the last lap of Barcelona. But these two won't be pitting now in this one. So unless they have a massive crash, it's going to be between one of them who's going to win it. Alex CDL, as you say, Mac, is 39 seconds back now. So all the rest of the drivers pretty much made their pit stop. scuderiasam kicking up dust there, absolutely going for it, these two drivers now, nothing at all, no inch given here, and it's absolutely fantastic racing between scuderiasam on the controller as well, and Roger Dodger on the rig setup, so different driving styles in that regard as well. scuderiasam covering the inside line, and Roger Dodger tries to go around the outside, but there was no room there for him. scuderiasam now is going to struggle in the Lambo through this last sector. This will be Roger Dodger's chance to win this race if he can get a good exit through here, and then slingshot his way and maybe look down the inside. Is he going to go for it? He's having a little sneaky look. It makes scuderiasam defend very hard, but is that the last opportunity? Oh, and into the back there as well as Lambo bogged down a bit out of the corner, and Roger the Dodger all over the back, and it's going to be a race to the line now as they come through the last corner. Spit of flame in retaliation from McLaren, coming up to the checkered flag now. Who's going to get it? 2/10 in it. It's the Lamborghini of scuderiasam who just takes the win after an absolutely enthralling race between Roger the Dodger and scuderiasam there. Absolutely fantastic. Hardly any contact at all between them throughout the whole race. Absolutely nose to tail. Fantastic racing between those two. Really enjoyed that one. I'm pretty sure the drivers enjoyed battling each other in that one as well, as they now ride line astern over the line. And Alex CDL coming around the last corner now. He's going to pick up third. He'll be very happy with third place considering he made his pit stop in this race as well. Of course, we're missing a couple of drivers in the shape of Luke McGee, the Scotsman, and also Subrosa. Oh, Alex CDL, what's he doing? I think he's going to bin it then, or end up in the pit lane again. Wouldn't be unusual for Alex CDL to bin it, so it's a bit harsh, but you know, he does like a spin or two as part of the former team spin. But he comes across the line now to take third place. Absolutely fantastic drive there by Alex CDL, and Chris Doherty now in the Renault. He had a bit of a battling drive today after leading the race initially in the early stages, but he's going to come across the line now to finish fourth, and he'd be quite happy with that, having taken his pit stop.
Yeah, definitely. Good epic battle, as you see at the end. And here's McKev just coming in after good recovery after a bit of early trouble with his technical difficulties, and that'll be a good result with him. Good result for him. And here's Stalker Brown. Didn't see much of him this race after what was a very impressive day at Donington, but he's coming in the sixth, and be prime position for race 2, as we see Sam getting the celebration after a terrific win for him.
Yeah, Mac, take us through the results there.
Alright, so Sam's in first pole position. Good fight. Obviously, these are the leaderboard standings for the championship so far. So Sam in first, Alex second, Chris Doherty, Roger, Stalker Brown, Sprosa. Now we're into race 2.
Yeah, race 2 coming up here, and the loading screen is on, which means the drivers are virtually loading themselves into the car. And it's 1 light, 2 lights now. We've got a couple of extra drivers here on the grid in the form of Cherry Berry to cause some carnage. And Muck Evs has an absolutely fantastic start there, getaway off the line from third place, I think it was, straight into the lead here, or alongside Stalker Brown anyway. Stalker Brown, the podium machine from Donington, holding the inside line now with Evans looking around the outside. He breaks very late in that yellow Lambo, and so does Chris. Oh, really contact in the back, and more contact now. Stalker Brown and Chris Doherty smashing together, bang! And that's Cherryberry in the thick of the action too in that Lambo, another Lambo for the fields, lots of Lambos. Free Gazelle is up there as well in 5th place at the moment. He had a not bad start, managed to get through the carnage somehow after sliding a little bit. But it's Mark Evans now leading the way in the yellow Lambo ahead of Alex CDL, finished third in the opening race here at Barcelona, followed by Roger Dodge and scuderiasam, inseparable. They just continue their battle from race 1 by the looks of it. It looks like nothing's changed between those two, and of course they both need to take their pit stop in this race as well. So really it's gloves on between those two already here in the early stages. There's a long way to go still, of course, a 20-minute race. And behind that's Free Gazelle in 5th place with Cherryberry in 6th. Stalker Brown, and now Alex CDL's got a great run here off the inside of McEvs, and he goes for it. Alex CDL and Janetta now leading the way ahead of McEvs. Will McEvs fight back? scuderiasam just holding off Roger the Dodger there, but those positions are switching around quickly every single corner almost. Oh, down the inside goes scuderiasam, and McEvs tags the back of Alex CDL, and they both run wide, and that's scuderiasam through, and that's Roger the Dodger kind of making a bit of contact there. Oh, and contacts at the top three as well, but they all managed to point in the same direction after all of that, thankfully, so the racing continues. scuderiasam now managed to take 2 in 1, very fortunate for him, and Roger the Dodger also managed to find a way through an Alex CDL after all that as well, and he's in 2nd place ahead of Alex CDL and McEvs now, as Alex CDL nearly bins it in the sandpit on the outside of the last corner. Just about gets away with it, but he's a pretty entertaining driver to watch, is Alex CDL. It looks like he's about to bin it every corner, and somehow he manages to hang on to the thing more often than not. So probably wins the award for most exciting driver to watch. But in terms of exciting action now, it's scuderiasam, Roger Dodge and Alex CDL like it was in race 1. Chris Doherty's had an absolutely awful start here. He's all the way back. He's 18 seconds away. What on earth has happened with Chris Doherty? In 8th position. I know he had a bad start, but that's really unlucky for Chris Doherty, because he made his pit stop in race 1, hoping to come back in race 2, and now he's all the way back there in 8th, but he's 10 seconds away from Cherryberry, so that will be his next target, as we look at Free Gazelle and Stalker Brown battling away. Free Gazelle tried to close the door on Stalker Brown, but Stalker Brown's come down the inside, and Free Gazelle sweeps it through onto the racing line. Stalker Brown had to get out of that one to avoid an airplane accident. And you can see, in the background there's Cherryberry still getting to grips with his car, joining the championship, of course, in that Lamborghini, in the pink Lambo. Very hard to miss, that one is. But anyway, sorry, I've been talking my way through the first 1.5 laps here because there's so much going on. But Ian, what did you make of that?
Yeah, as you say, it was just such an unfortunate coming together at the start, and Chris seems to have been caught out worse than that, having been in the lead of the first race and pitting out to put himself in prime position for this race. It's not quite worked out, and he's given himself a lot of work to do as at the back of the field. Meanwhile, at the front, it's scuderiasam and Roger have continued their epic battle, and the only reef for Alex behind them is that they have to pit this race, and Alex has already done that. Although with some of his flamboyant driving, he might be putting himself in trouble all by himself. But we'll see as the race goes on. As we look at Chris coming up on trying to get himself back in the race, and Stalker Brown and Free Gazelle having a nice little tight battle here, as Stalker Brown looks to make another move. He was close before, but had to back out of it. And then in the background we see scuderiasam making his pit stop. So that's definitely one down and one to go. And of course Cherryberry joining us will have to pit as well, given that he wasn't in the first race. So be interesting to see how he comes out in relation to some of the guys at the back that will be battling. But that's one to watch as well. Of course, he was in the Audi last time, so he's made a sort of sideways step into the Lamborghini. Similar sort of engine and similar setup. There's just a few little differences between the two who are part of the same group. So that's it's a similar platform. So it'll be interesting to see how he can make that work. Meanwhile, we've got Stalker Brown, who is in the Audi this time, coming up on Free Gazelle and trying to make the most of it. He's been close before. Can he get the job done now, Mac?
Yeah, Stalker Brown is definitely trying to get past him now. obviously Free Gazelle is struggling with this Aston Martin as he goes and
Oh,
and Stalker Brown's off as well. Both Free Gazelle and Stalker Brown are kind of struggling with these cars. The Audi is a bit of a different kettle of fish when it comes to comparing it to the Lamborghini, even though they're essentially the same cars underneath. But as you can see, this thing's a lot more twitchy and a handful to keep it in check while you're going around corners. And as Free Gazelle manages to get away from Stalker Brown, hopefully Stalker can try and get back up to him and try and get past him towards the end of the race.
yeah, hopefully. It looks like both of them there had a case of just, I don't know, not wanting to overtake each other, wasn't it? It's like, I'll make a mistake, and then the other driver's made a mistake, and then the other one's made a mistake. So I think it is a bit of a case, though. Once you get dirt on these tyres, you can just keep on spinning. We know the Mercedes particularly, that Subrosa uses, although he's not here today, if that car starts getting a bit of hot tyres or dirt on its tyres, it just wants to spin like a spinning top for the rest of the race. So yeah, certain cars have a tendency to do that, and it looks like the Audi is one of them. But now the battle is being engaged between Free Gazelle and Chris Doherty, and Free Gazelle's not going to give this one up easily. Chris Doherty has been absolutely flying though. The last lap he was the fastest on the circuit. He did a 44.5 second lap the last time around, which was faster than Roger or Alex in the top two positions there. So Chris has really got some pace if he can just get past this Aston Martin here, and he's looking this way and that to try and get his nose through and get the race in line. But Free Gazelle's driving fantastically defensively here. Slow on the apex, try and hold up Chris, which is definitely a tactic that you can be used. And Chris, very late on the brakes here. He's not going to give Free Gazelle an inch to come back at him. Free Gazelle decides to let that one go and try and get an exit, but he hasn't got a good exit as Chris here, and that Renault just shoots off away from the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin once again showing its tendency to just not be quite as fast as some of the other cars, but Free Gazelle still persevering, and fair play to him. He's in fourth at the moment, so it's not a bad result if he can stay there. But he's got Cherry Berry 3 seconds behind that he needs to keep an eye on, and 8 seconds behind that, or 10 seconds behind that, he's got scuderiasam after his pit stop coming back too, and Roger will be in that mix as well once he pits. As we look at that person right now, Roger the Dodger leading the race by 2.8 seconds, which is probably double the lead he ever had in the last race. But he'll be, obviously he's in his own race with scuderiasam today as well, and the likes of Cherry Berry as well, and Chris Doherty to a certain degree, although Chris obviously is up there in third at the moment, and he's got a lot of clear air ahead of him now, so he'll be trying to hunt down the top two, hunt down Alex CDL as much as he possibly can. But yeah, Roger at the moment. It'll be interesting to see when he makes that pit stop. What do you reckon a pit stop is worth here, Ian?
Oh, it's at least in the sort of 20-second mark with the length of the pit stop, maybe a bit more. Given how it was in the first race, because you saw Chris in the first race when he pitted, he came out about 36 seconds behind. But that's
Stalker Brown.
Stalker Brown just suspended.
Currently
activated to go on
flight
Flight
mode.
Simulator.
Yeah, that's it.
Flight Simulator with Slightly Mad Studios Audi R8 Airways there, spinning its wheels still. It's a shame for Stalker Brown actually, because he was going very, very well. I was really looking forward to seeing how he would get on. But yeah, sorry, Ian.
Yeah, he was doing really well, and as you say, he was a bit of a podium machine in the first race at Donington. So he was. It's a shame for it to end like that for him, but that certainly makes things a bit more interesting in the sort of mid pack with how the cars are spread out now. But saying in the first race, Chris dropped about 36 seconds with all drop back with his pit stop. So you're looking at Roger dropping into just round about his sparring partner scuderiasam. So that's what we all want to see, I think, because we look at Cherry Berry now making an attack on Free Gazelle in that Aston Martin. So see how he gets on. Still getting into shape with it, and it looks like he's had a bit of a problem with that bumper. It's looking a bit second hand there as he gets past Free Gazelle. So that's one job done. So it'll be interesting to see how Cherry Berry features in this race as well. With that's Chris at the front. But yeah, Chris will be looking with with Roger still to pit, Chris will be looking to be in amongst the podium places and maybe even chipping away at that lead Alex has got. But with Chris having his early problems, maybe not to be. But that is a bit of it's going off in the background. Is that Free Gazelle just floating away in the background as we look at Cherryberry now closing on Chris as well, who's they both had their spins and problems early on, but they're quite close together and can be quite quick drivers on their day, so that could be an interesting battle between those two as we look. And that's still following this battle as look at them come through towards the end of the lap. But it'll be interesting to see when Roger finally does make his stop and how that sets in. But he's looking to come out pretty close to Sam as things stand. So be interesting to see when it does. And we look at the de facto race leader Alex CDL when all the pits are done. So he'll be pleased with that. Although he's again pushing to extremes as he always does with the sort of flamboyant driving style. So it'll be interesting to see when Roger finally calls time and how that filters out.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a different mix where everyone is now in this race, because obviously with the random grid you never know where you're going to start. Like McGev's luckily managed to get into pole position for a short amount of time at the start of the race, but now as you can see he's ended up towards the back. I think he has taken his pit stop, so obviously now he's going to be trying to get back up. But also as you can see Chris Doherty's back up in third place now. Hopefully he can stay around there now, because he has been struggling with this car now. Hopefully he can stick with it. Sam's obviously, as we can see here now, trying to make his way through the pack as Cherryberry punts it into a wall. I want to know what is holding that bumper of that Cherryberry's Lambo on, because it defies the laws of physics how that's staying on. With the speed and ferocity that car hit that wall just then, guys.
I know. I mean, and also it's probably one of the most annoying things in Project Cars 2, that bumper on the Lamborghini when it's loose, just flapping around. I just wish it would just rip off.
As the rain was flapping.
Oh no, the Lambo one is just more annoying somehow. I don't know how. The Lambo one is just something wrong with it. But like you say, Mac, like why wouldn't it just come loose and just make us all happy?
Fling
but
off.
Anyway. Yeah, Cherryberry must be using some of his secret super glue or something on it in order to keep one side of it on, just to annoy us commentators.
Titanium cable ties.
Probably. But I mean, he handed that position very easily to scuderiasam. I was looking forward to seeing that battle actually unfold there. But scuderiasam just went through as Cherryberry binned it. But it's easy to do through those corners. You get on the curb a little bit too much, it unsettles the car, and then round you go. scuderiasam was catching Chris Doherty quite a rate of knots. He didn't have such a great lap the last time round to Chris Doherty. He was 2 seconds slower than scuderiasam, who is the fastest man on the circuit at the moment. So this could be a really interesting battle. Although Chris Doherty probably wishes he was fighting with Alex DL there for first and second, considering they both made the pit stops in race 1. But Roger the Dodger now, he's 33 seconds ahead of scuderiasam. And 31 seconds ahead of Chris, so it'll be really interesting to see where he feeds out. We're over halfway through this race now, so it's going to be any minute that Roger decides to pit. But will he wait for these two to engage in battle? I'm sure that the timing screens will be watched very closely by these drivers at the moment in order to see what exactly is going on, and it does become a bit of a tactical game, doesn't it? As you see Alex DL now, who will be, like you say, the de facto leader, and he will be he will be the real leader now as Roger now pulls into the pit lane. So this is where it could get really interesting, and this is where the main fight is going to be for the rest of this race, and I can't wait to see it all play out.
Yeah, definitely. Chris has had an unfortunate day really with how things were in race 1 and having done his pit stop. But this could be very interesting with Roger now going for the pits and how he comes up here in relation to Sam, as we look at Cherryberry now back behind that Aston Martin Free Gazelle, bouncing across some of the curbs there, just trying to get himself back in the mix here. But he made it past Free Gazelle once today, so he'll be hoping to make it. Oh, he gets very on the limit there as he comes down.
This week's instalment of Dukes of Hazzard jumps.
Indeed, yeah, he's certainly going for the crowd favourite award as he looks to line up for Gazelle here. But that's definitely one to as he goes looks for the move down as. Looks like he's just gonna. Yeah, he's got enough room there. He's and having got the move done, he's thrown it away again. And speaking of that, here's the Roger and Sam show as they're back together side by side, and Chris will be hoping they kind of can keep each other busy and not interfere with his race too much as he's sitting there in second place, 24 seconds off the lead. So that's he'll be quite pleased how that's worked out. But if we look behind, just hoping that they can keep each other busy and not come for him. So yeah, this could be, as you were saying, Sam, this could shape up for a very interesting 7 minutes as we close into the sort of latter stages of this race with these two after an epic long race one battle, giving us more of the same in the second race.
Yeah, definitely. I think at this point of the race now the gloves are off. As you can see, Roger with the lightweight edition of the McLaren with no spoiler. Obviously, he's that good. He just wants to make it fair for everyone else to take away his downforce. That's what I think. Or it might be that somebody has planted their front end of their car in the back end of his McLaren, which isn't unlikely for this group of racers. We do like to rub quite often. Maybe too often, but
just how we show love.
I'm not the FIA, so and somehow the spoilers regenerated. Obviously,
yeah,
Roger
obviously has got that feature of regenerating spoiler. It's one of the new features that McLaren have released for this particular Virtual Racing League Championship. But looks like he's got the downforce now to drive right round the outside of Scuderiasam. And they're side by side now coming into the turn 4 fast right-hander. And Roger Dodger right round the outside of Scuderiasam. Absolutely fantastic overtaking over there. And he's just made it stick, and he's got the inside line too. And he even managed to come back onto the racing line as well. Roger Dodger is on a mission now. He's found that rear spoiler again. And he's absolutely flying. So he's got ahead of Scuderiasam, where he was, as he came out the pits, he was ahead of Scuderiasam, and then they battled a little bit, and that's allowed Chris Doughty to get up the road a little bit now by a couple of seconds. So these two really have been taking time off each other, and they've only got a couple more laps, or a few more laps to go now to try and hunt down Chris Doughty second place. And Chris will definitely not want to give that up without a fight. But of course, they might not even get there if they decide to fight each other even harder than they have been doing. But this next sector should treat Roger quite kindly in that McLaren. And Scuderiasam knows he's pushing for all his worth to try and stay with that McLaren. But yeah, Roger's absolutely on a mission now, isn't he?
He sure is, and we saw that in the first race. Sam's race-winning move really came at the first corner after Roger kind of. Roger was putting the moves on him in the last part of this stage. So this is sort of Roger's section out of the way. So now it comes down to the sort of slightly favourable Lamborghini with a long straight, and then the first corner. So that's where if Sam is going to get a move done, that's probably going to come. As he's looking at him lining up here, he certainly closes up a lot of speed here. He's right on it there, but he's it's definitely more likely to favour Sam in the first part here, and then towards the end is where it favours the McLaren. So it'll be interesting to see. But as you say, they're both kind of holding each other up and just letting Chris just stay ahead here. He'll be more than happy to take it after the day he's had. So interesting between these two. So look at Sam getting a bit of a slide on coming through here. Roger's got one eye on Sam in one eye, and can he get that second place after given they had his pit stop? Bagging another second place would be very welcome, especially after the problems he had at Donington. He'd be quite happy to get back in the mix with a couple of good results. But he's on the podium here, and just looking to keep Sam behind him, and maybe look at getting in Chris with there's only about 3 minutes left, so need to get a move on, and it's certainly spread out between them. It's could be any one of these three for that second place, with Alex Edel away in the front. So unless he makes a mistake, he's got it. But certainly an interesting battle as we go into the last race here. Last lap, sorry.
Yes, Matt.
Oh yes, it's my turn. Yes. Yeah, definitely. I've gone blank again.
That's right. Talk about what's happening.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a fight now. Obviously, Alex is 16, 17 seconds ahead of second place now, so it's definitely gonna be a fight for second and third place. Try and get on the podium. Obviously, Roger and Sam have been fighting for the last couple of laps now. Roger's now decided to set his sights on Chris's back bumper and hopefully try and get around him by the end of the last lap to try and get that second place. Obviously, Roger trying to, and he nearly lost it then, but he's managed to keep it in check now. He has lost a bit of time on Chris now, so hopefully he can try and gain that back now while he goes into the next chicane. Obviously,
Yeah, these are treacherous times for the drivers here on the last lap because the tyres are absolutely screaming. The drivers are tired from pushing all race, and it really all comes down to this. And every point matters in the championship, especially with these three drivers who are the pre-championship favourites as well, amongst others. So yeah, every point counts, and it comes to the last few corners now, where Roger's really going to have to make a move if he's going to get that second place. Chris. Keep hold of the position for all it's worth, but he's run wide. The real life racing driver hasn't managed to hold the position there, and now he's under threat from Scuderiasam's Lamborghini, who tries to go around the outside, now tries for the switchback, but Roger's cleanly through, and Scuderiasam looking on the inside, but Chris closes it off in time, and that Lambo's not particularly strong through this sector anyway, so Chris should also hopefully try and maintain this position from him in third place and get that podium position. But Roger the Dodger managed to sneak his way past, and he's going to claim second position as Alex Idiel wins in the Ginetta. An absolutely fantastic finish there from these three drivers over the line. Well, that's incredible, that was, as Alex Idiel decides to destroy the advertising boards, and now somebody's going to destroy him. Oh, they all miss. That was an anticlimactic post-race party, wasn't it?
As tradition for this race series, we have to smash into each other at least once at the end of the race.
Yeah. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, as everyone tries to finish the lap off now before the end of race timer, and Cherry Berry trying to get the highest jump of the race award. He's already won it. I don't know why he's still trying. In fact, we got the Guinness Book of World Record. Oh, and he takes McEv's door off.
Somehow that bumper's fixed itself, though.
Yeah, he's probably clipped himself back on somehow. As he's dinging it off the limiter down the straights.
It was doing my OCD crazy, that bumper. But that Lambo sounds pretty good, doesn't it, off the limiter?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does, especially if you're going into like a hard braking corner and you're bouncing it off the limiter, trying to downshift as quick as you can, try and get around the bend. Yeah, it does sound pretty good.
It does. And race results, Alex Idiel won by 15 seconds in the end. It was 30 seconds at one point, so I don't know if he had a bit of an issue, but that gap definitely came down quite a lot in the last couple of laps, but he's probably just coasting it on the way to victory. And that means now there's only a 6-point lead for Scuderiasam at the top of the standings there. Chris Doherty not far behind. Joint on points is Stalker Brown and Roger the Dodger as well there. And it's very tight in the midfield. Next up is a driver's favourite, Imola. A very, very technical circuit and very different as well from Barcelona. So it'll be interesting to see how the drivers and the cars handle that one. So thank you very much for watching from Ian and Mac and myself, and we look forward to seeing you next time at round 3 for the GT3 Championship at Imola. See you there.